From the actor calling it quits from acting after Sonic 2, to Ben Schwartz being hopeful that the star will return for the third movie, here's the real reason why Jim Carrey won't be in Sonic 3. Back in 2022, when the sequel came out, Carrey had already announced that he'd be retiring from acting altogether. When asked if there was even a slight chance he could come back, Jim said no, and that he was dead serious about calling it quits. The actor added that he enjoys his quiet life.
I really like my quiet life.
Where he can paint as much as he likes and be more zen with his surroundings.
And I really love putting paint on canvas.
I mean, considering how long of a run the actor has had, him wanting to retire now makes a lot of sense. Plus, he's probably one of the few actors who believe that I have enough, I've done enough, and I am enough.
I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough.
But I'd be lying if I said that this was something new, because fans are used to Carrey taking extended breaks between his roles. His appearance in the 2020 Sonic the Hedgehog movie was Jim's first major role in over 6 years, with the last one being the 2014 sequel Dumb and Dumber 2. Aside from that, Jim did appear in some low-budget indie films in between, like The Bad Batch and Dark Crimes. While this does make me a little hopeful that the actor might just be playing us, and will miraculously show up in the third movie, but if he doesn't, it's gonna end up being the worst nightmare for Sonic 3. Now, the thing is, Jim played the role of the iconic Dr. Robotnik in the first and second movies, also known as the Eggman. This character's a huge part of the Sonic franchise, and has been the Blue Hedgehog's arch-nemesis and most reoccurring enemy. He's been after Sonic and his friends since the first game in 1991, and has been the only consistent character across the comics, games, and cartoons. And when Carrey took on the responsibility of portraying this character, he nailed it through and through. At this point, fans can't even think of anyone who could have better portrayed the role. So losing him would be the biggest downgrade for the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. What's more is that Eggman's an integral part of Sonic 2's storyline. And since Sonic 3's probably gonna pick up where the sequel left off, you can imagine how troublesome it would be to do that without the main villain. On top of that, Jim Carrey would also be missing out on some of the best developments his character has had in the games. Plus, even if the studio tried, they'd never be able to top Carrey's already too perfect casting. It's just impossible to even think about. Because of the actor's over-the-top portrayal of the character, he has now become a staple of the films as well. Carrey just brings this energy to the character that no one else can even come close to copying. But let's say Paramount decides not to replace Jim, gets rid of Robotnik altogether, and brings in a new antagonist. The main contender would be the Guardian Unit of Nations, which would honestly be a step backward. In the games, Gunn was a nameless stock military splinter group who came into the spotlight in 2005's Shadow of the Hedgehog, which makes them not as memorable as the Doctor. Even if the studio decides to go with Shadow as the villain instead, they'll probably come up empty on that end as well, because again, it's not as iconic as the Eggman. But aside from all this, considering how the second movie ended, it implies that the third will have to somehow involve Robotnik. In the ending scene of Sonic 2, when Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles team up to take down Robotnik's Egg Smasher, Tails and Knuckles sneak inside the giant robot and try to destroy it. Knuckles successfully takes down Robotnik by punching the emerald out of him. The Doctor tries to unleash one final assault on the trio with the Master Emerald in hand. But luckily, Tom and Maddie get there in time to save them. In a last-ditch effort, Robotnik tries to crush the trio again, though this time, Sonic transforms into Super Sonic and saves the day. This makes everyone believe that the Eggman's dead. But in the post-credits scene, Gunn informs the commander that when they went through Dr. Robotnik's archive, they found a file dating back 50 years that mentioned something called the Shadow Project. And then, a red and black hedgehog is shown on the screen, suspended in a huge container. I think by this point you figured out why Sonic 3 needs the Eggman to come back. Robotnik and Shadow work side by side against the gun, with the black and white hedgehog having the free will to do anything he wants. so not having the Doctor wouldn't make any sense. And if Paramount's deciding on making him the sole antagonist of the movie, then that means that Shadow will be nothing more than a puppet that's being used by Gunn to get rid of Sonic. Going down this route would rob the character of his free will, which is kinda messed up if you think about it. But what makes Carrey's whole retirement news worse is that we'll never be able to see live-action Robotnik's character develop in the movies. In the earlier games, he just used to be the evil scientist with a twirly mustache. But Sonic Adventure 2 elevated the character's personality by adding several layers of complexity, which eventually led to a more well-rounded Eggman. And this is best portrayed by the moment where he talks to Tails about how much Robotnik admires his grandfather, which represents his best character arc in 30 years of the game. So, if Jim Carrey does retire for real from the franchise, Sonic 3 will likely end up being a box office flop. But hey, there's still a small chance that the actor might come back. The thing is, when Jim announced his retirement plans, he added that if he came across a well-written script that the actor liked, then he could consider coming out of retirement. And I'm damn sure producers Neil H. Moritz and Toby Asher are trying their hardest to come up with the golden script that convinces Carrey to come back for the third movie. But considering how Robotnik technically died in Sonic 2, some fans are wondering if he should return to the franchise. I mean, think about it. After 6 years of being under the radar, the actor came back to the industry with a banger performance as Dr. Robotnik that had everyone in a chokehold. And so it would make sense if he were to go out on a high for his portrayal of the character. But there's one other reason why I'm hopeful he'll return for Sonic 3. The fact that the actor appeared in the second one, even though he usually shies away from doing sequels. Sonic 2's actually one of the only 3 sequels that Carrey has done in his career, with the other 2 being Dumb and Dumber 2 and Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. So, what made him return? Well, he said that there was something special about Paramount's adaptation of the Sega video game, and he loved the air of joy about Sonic's world. The actor added that the movie was just a sweet reminder of innocence, and that the first time around, when people asked him if he was really gonna do a kids movie, Carrey responded by saying that, well, yeah, because kids appreciate movies in a way nobody does. After hearing all he had to say about doing the second movie, it's hard to believe that the actor won't be returning to the third one. He has to be playing us. There's no other explanation. Then there's the fact that his co-star Ben Schwartz is also hopeful about Carrey coming back. At the premiere of his horror comedy film Renfield, Schwartz opened up to The Hollywood Reporter about Sonic the Hedgehog 3's development. And when he was asked if Jim will return, even though he's called it quits, Ben admitted that at the moment, the crew isn't sure whether Carrey will actually be returning or not. He added that even the mask actor has done interviews and stuff and said that he won't be returning. Schwartz is hopeful that Carrey, along with the rest of the cast, will return for the third movie. Because you can't deny that all of them love the franchise, the fans, characters, and everything they've made together. Schwartz's optimism is a strong indicator that he knows some behind-the-scenes details that we don't. But unless he or someone from Paramount comments on Carrey's involvement in the movie, we'll just have to wait and watch what happens. Who knows, maybe he could pull a Superman and Black Adam with us. So, there you have it, folks. From Ben Schwartz being hopeful that the star will return for the third movie, to the actor calling it quits from acting after Sonic 2, these were all the real reasons why Jim Carrey won't be in Sonic 3.